A message for my people.
Nick Dad, baby. We the new label.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on, son.
Now this the black sheep sticking its home. I need a crib like I'm Gatsby.
I need it.
In hand, just understand my
Pockets that deep.
with nothing to prove. I ain't got nothing to do. When they can't compete and I got nothing to lose. You see, they told me I'm the one that's gonna benefit. Never been a threat.
Yes, what's good, everybody? Welcome back to Veterans Minimum. In a new look. Kind of like it. It's a little cozy in here.
You know, thankfully to you,
I got sandals on, bro. I usually can't dress this comfy. Sweatpants, sandals.
a lot of people who have started subscribing to me lately probably already know where this is. But you're at my house.
Yeah.
In a way.
It's a road game.
This is
Though I do feel at home when I come here. You guys always
Yeah.
shout out to Sticky Paws, shout
That's
out to
where
John
we're at.
Orlando, always showing love. Shout out to you, man. You guys are doing me a favor. As I spoke
course.
about on the Monday episode, we got a huge rental at the studio. And I'm sure it's probably happened to you too. Whenever a big rental comes in, they need your time slot. It's like, hey man, I get it. I have the honor and the privilege of being able to record there
Correct.
on the house, being a part of the company. It's cool. But when the big dogs come in, they're like, hey man, we're fucking making it rain like it's Crazy Horse 3 in there. You gotta step
you
aside.
got to take that.
So I called in a favor to the good brother George, and you guys came through. So shout out to everyone here at Sticky Paws. Appreciate you guys.
Of course, Nick. We always have looked at you as like family. And when you came in here on your first show ever, Action Junkies, make sure you check out that episode with Nick. We played catch in the back. It was the first time I think you ever played catch here in Vegas.
Yeah.
And it was like, you know, Nick slaying me the rock. And there was one time, I don't know if you remember, I ran a go route and you like led me almost into a pole.
Yeah.
I still caught the fucking pass. I
You
think
did.
we were both trying at that moment in time to prove ourselves. And
And then we became best friends. Come on, fist me, baby. You know what I'm talking about?
it.
We're
That's
out
it.
here, man. Dude, how are you? I didn't see you last week because of the holiday.
Oh, I'm doing amazing, Nick. The holiday was great. Spent a lot of time with family. My brother, who plays at San Jose State, beat UNLV. So he came down to Vegas, took care of business, kind of stuck it to my alma mater. They never recruited him. So it was kind of like I'm a local talent.
Yeah.
You know, he ends up getting honorable mention yesterday for the Mountain West Conference. And
Okay.
you know PFF. I've been telling this to everybody, but nobody follows PFF, so I'm glad I can tell you. He graded out an 85 for a left tackle, redshirt sophomore.
I have because everyone listening to the show knows how I feel about PFF.
Oh, shit. Okay.
I like it when it comes to offensive linemen.
Okay.
Legit. Because I feel as if it's a hard thing to really digest
Yep.
and understand unless you have your eye on the offensive line at all times.
Correct.
Now, when it's a 3rd and 8 and I've bet on a team and Nick Bosa's on that side or TJ Watt's on that side, I'll probably watch that right tackle. So I'm like, all right, this guy's going to blow up the whole play. There goes the
Right.
parlay. But I'd be lying to you if I didn't I shit on PFF a lot, truthfully. Because there was one year where they said James White was the best running back in the NFL, and it was when Todd Gurley had the Todd Gurley year. And you're like, come on, bro, what are we doing here? You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, let's be honest. So my relationship with PFF, it is very insightful for certain positions. I do like when they do DB wide receiver matchups. I
Right.
think that's pretty helpful. But with offensive line, I do use that as a resource when it comes to breaking them
Yeah,
down.
it's only people that honestly, like you said, like watch it in detail enough to know, all right, like this guy actually has the chops based on the competition he was playing. And so shout out to my bro. He came down here, he won, and that was an amazing moment. And then I went and I watched Patrick Mahomes, and oh my God, when I watched Patrick Mahomes defeat the Raiders this past weekend, Nick, I don't think I've ever seen like a more confident football player in my entire life. He doesn't like, you know, it resembles Brady a lot in the sense where like it's not necessarily flashy, but it's just like you knew he was going to score on every possession. Everything was always open, and he always was hitting people on the money. And the way he moves around the pocket. So getting to see that on Sunday after watching my brother just play there the day before and win a game, it was kind of like surreal. Now that I'm like looking back on it, it was a dope fucking weekend.
Dude, the fucking Chiefs ended up covering that game despite
How?
going down 14.
How?
And what's crazy is I bet on the Chiefs because they lost the week before. So it's kind of one of those spots that I always talk about where I like betting on good teams coming off a loss.
Yeah.
And especially like in division. He's only lost one time in his career on the road in division. And that happened this year to the Denver Broncos.
Yeah.
But it's crazy that they still covered the 9.5 with ease.
Nick, it was never like
And they went down 14-0
Yeah.
for those that were not paying attention.
14-0, the Raiders came out and they fucking punched him in the mouth, but then they stopped, being able to run the ball. Like the Chiefs defense is pretty legit once again. Chris Jones just is he's worth 2 gaps. And it's a team that I'm like, I told my dad like halfway through, I was like, we're probably watching the Super Bowl champions right now. I can confidently say that after watching them, and I've only watched very bad NFL teams this year. I watched the Raiders, the Giants, and then the Chiefs. So yeah, anybody compared to those two, like of course it's going to look better, but Travis Kelce is open on every play.
Yeah.
No, like no doubt. Like if you're not playing man to man, he just sits in zones. He's the third check down, and Patrick Mahomes' eyes go deep, middle. Travis Kelce's always open. And then everyone always wonders, like, how are they doing it? And I'm like, no, bro, it's just that's what happens.
If I ever get a chance to talk to him, I want to ask him if he really has any routes. Because it seems like he does it looks like he runs 5 to 8 yards, stops, and then does this. Like he'll have his back to the defense and go,
And then
I'll just shuffle whichever way I think, and then bam, there goes 18 yards. Just every single
No, there's so many better route runners. You know who's a really good route runner in his time, and that's why he got paid a lot? Darren Waller for a season was an insane route runner. George Kittle, pretty good route runner.
I'm not saying Kelce isn't a good route runner. It's
No.
just that he
All the
catches a
concepts, yeah.
lot of his passes are
Yeah.
he just side shuffles.
All
and
the
finds a spot.
concepts are just find the hole and then just sit. And it works. And I don't understand why more teams just don't operate in that sort of mindset, but it's tough to when you don't have a quarterback that like can confidently go through all his progressions. And yeah, they're a problem, man. They're a problem.
I'm worried about the receivers. I think eventually that's going to be something that's going to cost them. Like every game they've lost this year has been because the wide receivers with the drops. No team has had more wide receivers drop the ball than them. And you're talking about key third downs, touchdowns, game-winning touchdowns. And I think it's alarming. And I think that you saw Miami do this in the Germany game, even though they lost that game to the Chiefs. Bro, 3rd and 8, we're putting 3 people on Kelce. Go ahead and try to beat us, MVS.
Yeah.
And Rice. Rice had a nice game last week, so maybe he's emerging. Tony, congrats, Tony.
Yeah.
This is what we're going to do. So I think eventually they're going to run into a Baltimore. They're going to run into a Jacksonville who, dude, we talked about it, how like no one respects the Jaguars.
No, but people need to. With the Jaguars, I already mentioned Travis Etienne being one of my favorite players to watch. And before we go off the Chiefs, Isaiah Pacheco is that same prototype. All the memes are so accurate. This man runs in high knees. He goes to bed in high knees. And but yeah, the same thing. They have a run game, but people don't respect the Jags. Get back to that.
Yeah, I just think that the Jaguars are right now they have the same record as every other team in the AFC, except for Baltimore because they've played one extra game. And it's something we harped on a couple of weeks ago where it seems like because they have improved it, people aren't buying them. And it happens a lot to the young teams. In any sport, bro, you're unproven. And until you prove that, it happens in the UFC too. You have this up-and-coming fighter. He's finally getting a big test that weekend, and you're saying to yourself, like, all right, this is a massive step up for this guy, the prospect. This is kind of a downgrade for this guy who's been this weekend's pay-per-view, Armin and Dariush. It's like Dariush has fought like the who's who at 155. Armin, he's fought the who's who, and every time he's lost. So it's like, what are you doing there? And Dariush is a 2-1 underdog. I already bet Dariush, right?
Yeah.
But like to bring it back to the NFL and with the Jaguars, they played the Chiefs tough in the playoff game, and then how they won the playoff game against the Chargers, it was not so much a great comeback as much as it was a shitty Chargers collapse. So that's why I think like with the Jaguars, that's just another team that I was thinking about that, if you're Kansas City, you might have to play them, and then you're going to need those receivers to make plays. And, they got number 15 slinging the ball, so they're going to be fine. But
yes, sir.
I want to mention something, man. I don't know if I really talked about it on the Monday show, but
Your eye?
nah, the eye is
Did you
doing
already
good.
tell them about that? 'Cause
Yeah,
if not,
they-
they would have thought this is a Halloween episode.
Yeah, they got a little shiner there, but it was good. I got the train today, bro. Dude, I got depressed over Thanksgiving, dude.
Really?
Yeah.
Little just not being able to work out.
Yeah, bro.
You sent me a text. Your mom had you going out running errands. You were like, can't believe this. Can't believe this. I come back home and I have to go to the grocery store.
Immediately. My dad called me. My dad called me from the basement. All right? From the basement. Calls me upstairs and he goes, yo, can you bring me the salt and pepper? I was like, yo, you got to be kidding me. He's like, come on, man. I got to take advantage of this now that you're home. And I was like, you know what? I respect the honesty. I was like, that's pretty shitty, truthfully, but I respect the honesty. But, dude, I got a little depressed, man, over the holidays because I didn't get to train. I didn't get to do jujitsu. Today was the first time. So like 9 days I haven't trained jujitsu, and I'm doing it like 5 days a week.
Yeah.
And when I mean depressed, I mean just like I was like, fuck, man. Just
Your
something
body feels like you want to
feel
do
weird.
something.
Yeah. And I've been having this combo with my friends recently because like I'll be 33 in March, and a lot of my friends were anywhere from like 2 years younger than me to 2 years older. Was like my friend group back home. And some of them are turning 30 now. And they're my friends that have been 30, they're like, oh, dude, you're going to get back pains and all this shit. And I was like, I feel great.
Right.
I feel fine. But it's also, I'm putting my body through crazy stress,
You take care
physical
of yourself.
stress,
Yes.
7 days a week.
Yep.
Legit every day I'm doing something active. And then I'm feeling it today after jujitsu because I didn't put my body through hell for the last 7 days.
Yeah.
It's so weird, bro. I didn't work out at all back home.
Yeah, no, I mean, being an ex-athlete and knowing how important it is, I know what I need to do day in and day out. So like if I don't go to the gym, I'll maybe go like on a longer walk. But there is like a bit of, I need to do something. I need to stretch. I need to fucking like move around. But I don't go to the gym as much as I should. But once you start going, then it's like, it's the addiction, right? Like you're like, oh shit, I'm starting to look good. I feel better. And then everything around your life gets better. So I'm glad that, we're out of this depression here.
Yeah, everything just seems easier the rest of my day when I train in the morning.
It's all those things that our coaches said, and we're like on a fucking knee, and our knee was just sore as shit. He's like, hey, listen here, kid. It's what you do when people aren't watching that counts.
Yeah.
And you're like, fuck, coach, can we wrap this up? And you're like, but it's
Dude.
true. It's true.
I told Brian from Hero's Journey, I was like, a real man when no one's watching puts in work. I thought he was going to come up and make out with me. He was so excited when he heard that one.
Oh, Brian Hopkins will give you a fucking hell of a dap up.
He was like, dude, he's like, I got chills, brother. I got chills. A little Hulkamania started coming out.
I love it.
Yo, I want to talk about a couple things before we dive into the week. And I got some betting questions I want to ask you also. Have you been seeing, do you follow the NBA?
I love the NBA.
You do?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, it's football now, but I would say Christmas Day, my mind's like, I got to start watching this shit.
Yeah, I've watched more NBA this year than years past. I'm enjoying the in-season tournament a lot because
It is cool.
what's dope is urgency. Like these games, even though it's a regular season game on the record, it matters towards this pool that they're doing in the in-season tournament, which is going to be in Vegas next week, which is really dope. But I think that's why there's such a big appeal to March Madness, such a big appeal to NFL playoffs, because it's one game, right? Like it means so much more. And you're seeing that. Like these play-in games, these in-tournament games, in-season tournament games, they're just meaning more. And the reason why I'm saying all this is because, once again, Russell Westbrook had an interaction with a fan.
I saw this one.
Have I told you my take on fan interactions with the athletes?
I feel like you've maybe mentioned it to me, but I need to know the deep dive because Russell Westbrook is like case study number one for sure for this whole thing.
One of my all-time favorite sporting events, Malice at the Palace.
I love that.
I think it should be played before every game, everywhere. It should be played every game because fans get too comfortable. And look, man, I'm not star-spangled fucking perfect when I go to games. Do I tell a player, yo, you suck? I've talked to pro athletes. They don't mind that.
Right.
They don't mind like, yo, you suck. When a guy misses a free throw, yo, he's with us. You know, like trolling them. They don't mind that. When you start digging into families and girlfriends and wives and their kids and religion and all this other shit,
Yeah.
that's where it gets personal. Or if you throw like a racial slur at them, like what happened with the Jazz fan back in the day with Russ, who's had so many different interactions with the fans. Back to the malice at the Palace. There are some athletes, they don't give a fuck. They'll slap the shit out of you and they'll deal with the consequences after. And the reason why I say about the malice in the Palace is I think there should be a waiver on the back of the ticket that says we are not responsible for how the athlete interacts with the fan if heckled. And I guarantee you, George, if the fan knew that if I heckled George Carmona, who's the right tackle for the fucking Bills, and he can slap the shit out of me, probably not going to heckle him.
You would think, Nick, but it would have to happen just a couple more times because I can see like how players then would get real comfortable saying shit back, which they already do. I mean, like players do go back and forth at fans, but man, in football, it's different. Every sport has the differing levels because in football, you at least have like an 8-foot banister, like for a player to like go up and like get into something, you got some time. In basketball, bro, I mean, you can literally, people are falling into him. And then can you imagine, like, he's laying on top of you. You have the guy behind you say something bad. He thinks it's you. You get fucking elbowed. That's where it gets kind of dangerous. Because imagine how tough it is, Nick. I don't know if have you been on like a big stage before and you have like lights on you and stuff? It's kind of hard to see the crowd sometimes. So like you don't necessarily know where it's coming from. That's got to be the toughest part because then you got to really start like looking for a motherfucker.
Kind of looking in a general direction.
Yeah. Can you imagine if you get the wrong guy and you fucking just blast somebody?
Bro, that's what meta world peace. You know?
100%.
One of Queens' finest, formerly known as Ron Artest.
One of my favorite players.
The one guy that got fucking knocked was because just wrong place, wrong time, bro. And that happens sometimes. But I think, look, over the weekend in the Bills-Eagles game, you had Jordan Phillips. He had an interaction with a member of Eagles faithful. And apparently he claimed, and now there's conflicting reports, but he said that the dudes were attacking his family. What I said before. It's like, yo, Phillips, you suck. You're trash. Like, you didn't show up today. They don't mind that. But when you start attacking the family, that's where it gets personal.
Yeah.
And I feel as if the fan knew for a fact that the athlete can respond and not have any ramifications in post, I feel like the fan would pull back. If you knew for a fact, bro, you might get punched in the face, I think your
that's
heckling
the thing.
Gets tampered.
That's the thing. I think they should let players go back at like we should just be able to heckle back. You know what I mean? Because if they do throw the first punch, that's like. So I don't have a problem with Russ like confronting people or necessarily like yelling at fans. But yeah, if they start fucking hitting people, Nick, I mean, they're gonna kill these people. Like, yeah. You know. I mean,
hey man,
Ron Artest is a good.
Don't talk shit then.
But can we just like respectfully, like they can give it back to us? Like, can you imagine, right? I mean, these guys are jacked. They got all the money in the world. They got the best girls. Can you imagine the comebacks that some of these guys can have at these fucking? You're paying to watch me, bitch.
You got my name on your back.
You fucking pussy. You fucking.
Dude, I got a good one for you. I was, have I told you the 11 story when I was down in Miami with the Nets?
Yeah, where you predicted the Miami flu because they were fucking.
Well, I knew for a fact. I knew for a fact.
They were out clubbing.
One of my friends works at 11. It's a gentleman's club, nightclub in Miami. Shout out to 11. Great girls. I got word the morning of the game, that the Nets left at like 7 a.m.
Nice.
They were playing the Heat at 7 p.m. My friend was like, oh, yeah, the Nets were in town. Like, is that why you guys are here? Immediately, bro, the degenning in my mind was like, I need to call my bookie back in New York, play some bets. I look at the line. This is when the Heat had Deion Waiters and like Hassan Whiteside. They were kind of mid, right? It was like post Dwayne Wade.
Right.
And they were a 3-point underdog at home. They're down 30 at halftime, and Joe Harris is at the free throw line. Misses the first free throw, and I just go, them strippers yesterday, huh? And he smirked as he shoots the next free throw. And me and my friend were like, yeah. So like heckling like that, I
Yeah.
think that's cool. I made him laugh. He missed a free throw. I take full responsibility for him missing that free throw, by the way.
Yeah.
Full responsibility. Who knows what the strippers were doing to him yesterday, but this is what I'm talking about. Like there's friendly heckling. There's friendly heckling.
Those strippers got the bag that night.
Oh,
for
yeah.
sure. Joe Harris seems like the type of guy that just he might be a little like financially irresponsible that night. He seems like he's buttoned up otherwise, but he's like, I'll splurge tonight and just
Dude,
20 racks.
we were so we went down this rabbit hole, my friends and I. We were talking about like James Harden is a notorious lover of the strip
Oh,
clubs,
yes,
right?
he is.
And if he makes $40 million a year,
Yeah.
right? Let's just say half of it goes to taxes, whatever. So now you got $20 million. The breakdown we went to was like, bro, if he went out every time he went to a road game, right? 40 nights a year, he went to the road. Say he went to a strip club. If he blew like $25,000 a night, he still comes home with like $18 million worth. And it's like, yo, he's paying people's mortgages and bills and all that shit. This guy's probably doing it every night. You ever seen that famous Reddit thread about how James Harden, when he goes to play on the road in cities that have notoriously high-end strip clubs, his numbers are always down. So when he goes to LA, he goes to New York, he goes to Miami. If he's averaging like 32 that year, he averages like 23.6 in those cities.
Holy shit.
Yo, it's like an iconic NBA Twitter Reddit thread. It's hilarious. And you know what, man? I believe it.
Yeah, I mean, how could you not? How could you not? I mean, so we got onto this because we were talking about the fans, right?
Yeah.
Fans getting into it with players. Russell
Strippers are fans.
Strippers are fans. Now, I'm just thinking about like all the real juicy beef. Because like if they can heckle back, you know, because I wonder if Russ did he get a fine for yelling back at the fan?
I'm sure he has because it's not his first offense, right?
Oh,
it's like
yeah,
Kareem
no.
Jackson. How many times you got to hit someone fucking right in the head for a concussion? They get knocked out before you get suspended or fined for $1 million.
That is very true. That was a wild little highlight tape, that Kareem Jackson one. When I watched it, I was like, holy shit. Like, God damn, dude.
Just leaving his feet
Did you see the Saints might be getting a bounty gate?
again.
Or no, not the Saints, the Broncos.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yo, Sean Payton.
Yeah. So this was brought up to me yesterday. They were like, if you look at the fines for targeting, like in the last like 6 weeks, the Broncos like are leading the charts. And they think, hey, maybe Sean Payton's gonna like,
Yeah, bro, they are.
if it worked last time, motherfucker, it's gonna work this time.
Yo, and hold on. The last 6 weeks they're 5-1. So maybe
telling
it's
you.
working.
I'm telling you, he's
Maybe
like,
it's working. Yo, that's crazy.
that's
man.
the secret sauce
That's
there.
crazy. Was there ever an athlete that like you fucking hated? Like sports hate. You know what I mean? Like I'm
Yes.
sure you don't hate them, you wish the best for them, but when like maybe they just always shitted on your team every time they played you.
As you were bringing it up to me, I thought immediately of Jimmy Butler. And I have to go in on this whole little Jimmy rant here because it didn't happen until he got to the Heat. And then all these runs that the Celtics have made, and then they run into Jimmy Butler, and he's like fucking kryptonite. He's average kryptonite. And that's the part that like kills me because dude could be a killer. Like Jimmy Butler could absolutely lead this Heat team in points and assists and be like a very me guy. But he just like fucking beats you with like average Draymond Green type play. And then occasionally he'll go off for like 50. And you're like, where the fuck did this come from? So
He's
and
one of the-
literally
he's-
it's been the last 4 years that like I truly do not like Jimmy Butler.
Yeah. He's one of the rarest players in the league that come playoff time, he's a top 5 guy in the league.
It's nuts.
But he's
dude.
like top 20? And like way closer to 20 than 1 in the regular season?
But
Maybe
he's-
25?
He's so important to that Heat
Yeah.
team too. It's like, and the Celtics have been so fucking good. And then when he beat a younger Jason Tatum that one year in the Eastern Conference Finals, I was like so crushed, bro. But yeah, no, Jimmy Butler, fucking hate him.
The reason why I bring that up is because public enemy number 1 in my life was Deshaun Jackson. He just announced today at the time that we're recording that he's retiring. Dude, there's not an athlete I hated more. Hated more. And I did a podcast with Will Blackman. Shouts to Will. And he was like, dude, he's such a nice guy. What do you mean by you hate him? I was like, bro, I sports hate him. It's a different thing. Like, I don't wish bad on him. Do I wish he like jams and finger on the first drive against the Giants and then he's out for 4 drives? Yeah, I do wish that. No, jam finger, nothing too crazy, not
Right.
season ending. But that guy just, I feel like when I envision Deshaun Jackson, I think of the punt, right? He had the famous punt against the Giants. But his stat line always is 5 for 150 and 2 touchdowns against the Giants. That's what I think of Deshaun Jackson whenever he would play the Giants. And like wide open by 40 yards. every single
Yeah.
time.
I think of that game. I think it was against the Redskins where
The Michael Vick.
the Michael Vick.
Bro, that's one of the
game.
craziest throws I've ever seen. It was like 65 yards on a string.
Yeah.
Perfect full speed Deshaun Jackson. Yeah.
Feared. What were the other teams he played for? I know he was on the Eagles. Then he like kind of went.
Went to the Commanders, had some success with the Bucks.
Yep.
Then he went to the Rams, I believe. He had a stint with the Rams.
At the end. Chargers, maybe?
The Raiders. He played on the Raiders too. He scored a touchdown against the Cowboys on Thanksgiving with the
my
Raiders.
God.
Yeah. Absolute just and look, he played the NFC East often, but an absolute killer, bro. Like this guy would have fucking monster games against that division. And yeah, I have it here. He played with the Eagles, Commanders. Bro, he only played with the Eagles for 6 years. It felt like way
A
longer.
fucking eternity,
It
dude.
felt like way longer. Eagles, the then Redskins, Buccaneers, Eagles again briefly, Rams, Raiders, and ended his career last year with the Ravens. And like, bro, NFL record for career touchdowns of 60 yards. He had 26 of them. And then career touchdowns of 80 plus yards. He had 5. He's tied with someone. Bro, fucking wicked, dude.
That's a hell of a
Fucking
career.
Wicked.
Do you think he's a Yoffer?
I don't know. 641 yards. 641 career receptions, 11,263 career yards. He had
He's an all-purpose guy, though.
58 receiving touchdowns, 4 return touchdowns. Man, like if you could do a Hall of Fame based off like fear,
Ooh,
like
yeah.
how much you feared that guy when he played your team, first ballot Hall of Famer. Like
Yeah.
when we would have to play the Eagles, bro, and we had to play him, and even when he played with the Commanders, like it was just a bitch to play that dude. It just sucked, bro. The Giants spent so many draft picks on corners to stop him, didn't work.
You know how many people like him? I bet his 40 time was crazy, but on-field speed, like in the game speed, I don't think there was too many that can keep up with him. Like he reminded me of Chris Henry a little bit. Huh. Yeah.
Bro, 6 for 178 a touchdown, 3 for 78 a touchdown, 4 for 61 a touchdown, 6 for 99 1 touchdown, 7 for 132 1 touchdown. Those are all games against the Giants.
Oh my God.
8 catches for 63 yards and a touchdown. I felt like he had way more touchdowns against the Giants, but he had only 6 touchdowns against the Giants. But he had 1,150 yards against the Giants in his career in 18 games. But if you think about it, bro, like 7 of those games were not in his prime. So this is This is really the majority of his career was just like killing the Giants. But shout out to him, man. Hell of a career.
It's a vendetta, brother. Yeah. Do you think he had like a bad experience in New York once?
I don't know.
Was there ever like a report of like a New York fan like throwing a hoagie at him or something?
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure I've wanted to throw some shit at him too.
You would heckle him, and then Deshaun Jackson's allowed to beat you up, bro.
Yeah.
It's, by the way, football is the most unfair out of all the sports to get beat up by. Going back to that argument real quick. They're padded up.
Yeah.
I could take a helmet and literally cave your head in. All right.
Or you should just wear your helmet. Like the dumbest thing, when there's a brawl, when dudes take their helmet off.
Oh, stupid.
That's dumb. Strap that up and be like, come on, bro, throw as hard as you want.
Unless Myles Garrett rips it off your head, like, it should stay on.
That could be dangerous
It should stay on. And if he rips it off your head, you need to run very fast the other direction.
Monster game this week with so much on the line for so many different reasons. Frank Reich got fired this week from the Panthers. He's not the first coach fired, and he won't be the last coach fired. It seems like every year there's like minimum 5 new hires every year.
Yep.
So I have a list of teams that I think are going to be looking for a new head coach. One I think is a little controversial, depending on how you feel about it.
Yeah.
But I'll list the teams.
All right.
Panthers, Chargers, Commanders, Raiders, Bears.
Yep.
I think the Patriots are going to need a new head coach.
Okay, so I got ridiculed big time, and I knew the last one was the most controversial one, right? I got ridiculed on The American Fan by Marcus Banks and Josh. Like, that man has earned the right to coach as long as he wants. It's like a Greg Popovich situation, is like what they equated it to. But I think, dude, he might be just over it, you know? You go from a millennia of winning, and then you suck, and I think it might be time to turn a new leaf. Are you really willing to waste another 3 years of your life to find a quarterback that is going to lead you to the playoffs? Yeah. It'll be him stepping away. He won't be fired.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't think they're going to fire him.
Yeah.
It's going to be one of those things where it's like, hey, man, we're going to have a top pick.
Yeah.
You're fucking 73, 74, how old he is. You did something no one's ever going to do.
Mm-hmm.
For 20 years, you were a fucking buzzsaw. 12-4 every year is how I think of the Patriots with Brady and Belichick.
Pretty much.
And they went undefeated one year. Ran into my New York Giants. Thank you. 14-2 seasons. Like, a bad year for them was like 11-5. And it was because Matt Castle came in.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Right.
This
Brady
was just
rolled an ankle or something.
Sustained excellence, like across the board. But it's time, bro. It's time. And I've been talking about how it's not him without Brady that he's been bad. He was actually bad with Brady the last year too. So in 2019, they go 12-4. Great year. But that team that was the year when Lamar won MVP. And remember the Pats were like undefeated and they went into Baltimore. Baltimore was like
I do remember.
They were an underdog at home. And then
Lamar, Sunday night football game.
It was a Sunday night football game. And I remember vividly on Patreon, patreon.com/veteransminimum, still doing it. I said, yo, instead of betting the Ravens to win this game, money line plus 140, bet Lamar Jackson at then 12-1 to win MVP. Because if they win this game, it's a showcase game. It's the fucking undefeated Pats. He's going to be the talk of the town.
Yep.
What happens? They win that game. He's the talk of the town. The odds go from like 12-1 to like plus 550. Dom Mazzola, shouts to Dom. He edits the social clips for VM. He's been with me for all these years. He was like, bro, I made that bet. I took Lamar Jackson that year. So the reason why I'm saying all this is because Belichick and the Pats, they've been kind of mediocre since then. Even though they went 12-4, people that listen to the show then remember I said, yo, Titans are going to beat them on the money line. Titans are going to go in there and beat them. The last pass Brady ever throws with the Pats gets picked sixth by Logan Ryan, a former Patriot also.
Right.
And then from then on, it was Cam Newton, COVID year, 7-9. 2021, they get Mac Jones, 10-7. Okay, cool, but then you get your shit punched in the playoff game against the Bills.
Yeah.
Then 8-9 last year, 2-9 this year. I said they were 35-1 to have the worst
It's
record in football.
crazy.
People laughed at me when I said
did.
this. Everybody laughed at me. But if it wasn't for Carolina being so shit, I think they're the worst
Bro.
team in football.
Carolina could still theoretically make the playoffs. It's so, that your bet, it looks good because all they play is NFC South teams. They're going to beat a couple of them. I think the Patriots lose out. You might win that. I'm going to
bring
following.
back the clips crazy.
Oh,
Those are going to come
Fire
back
away.
if that happens. But, so I think it's going to be a mutual just departure. Hey, man, we don't want to fire you because you've given us such a great thing. But it's time. Let us go in a different direction. You're 73, 74 years old. You're the oldest coach in the league, you and Pete Carroll.
Yeah.
And it's just time. And, I think you're right, dude. I just think he's kind of just like going through the motions now.
Well, the crappy thing is that he got Bill O'Brien back, and there is one clip I remember I sent it to you on Instagram DM where Mac Jones was getting fucking chewed out, and Belichick's just standing in front of it, and yeah, I think he has the pieces in place that he wants as far as coaching goes, but it just didn't fucking pan out, and I don't think anybody can come in there and really save the day. I don't even know what the Patriots necessarily need, because even if they had a quarterback, I'd be like, who does he throw it to? You know what I mean? Juju? Are we?
I mean, he's on a 1-year deal. I said they have the slowest offense in the league.
Oh, it's
really slow.
it's like Iowa of college football, how Iowa's under was 24.5
Yeah.
versus Nebraska, where it's just this. And it went under,
Yeah.
by the way. It went under.
Crazy.
So the same thing with the Pats, dude. Take the under fucking every game.
So what would you say of the teams I listed? Panthers, Bears, Chargers, Pats, Raiders, Commanders.
Yeah.
I think all of them are going to need new head coaches. What's the most appealing job in your opinion?
Okay, so if I was to be a little head coach here, you'd be an idiot not to go with the Chargers.
Right.
Justin Herbert, I can only put so much of the blame on him, but it's really just Brandon Staley is fucking lifeless. Here's the one thing, and I'm surprised Brandon Staley has not been fired, because he's a defensive guy, right? Did you see what happened on the very first play on defense on their Monday Night Football game versus who are they playing? The Vikings?
Do you mean Sunday night this past week?
Yes. Yeah.
Because then they played a couple of.
You're
they
right.
played the Jets on Monday night too.
Correct. It was either the Jets or this past Sunday night. The very first play on defense, 12 men on the field. Bro, you're a defensive-minded coach, and the very first play you got to call a timeout because you don't want to get a penalty for 12 men on the field. He's lost the room. It's an appealing job, and I want Bosa to be happy, because I think you can build a franchise and you can win Los Angeles with those two pieces. Or maybe I'm speaking too highly of Bosa. He's been kind of
I think you are. I think he gets paid like he's one of the top guys, and I don't think he is. Also, injuries have really hurt him,
Yeah.
and that's been the killer. What's crazy is I think there's a real case to be made that the younger brothers in the Bosa family and in the Watt family are better than the older brothers.
Yeah, TJ's got a bigger
Dude, I said that
shoe to
like
fill.
3 years ago, and this is when it was he had shown flashes, but it's not
Right.
like how he is now. He's a unanimous top 5 defensive player in the league.
Right.
I kept saying TJ Watt's better than JJ Watt. And JJ Watt won 3 defensive players of the year in 4 years.
Yeah, Captain America, bro.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. But I agree with you. The most appealing job would be the Chargers, because of all these teams, it's the only one with a franchise quarterback.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what you have with Bryce Young. What do you make of Justin Fields? Pats, you don't know what's happening over there. Sure, you can have the luxury if you have the top pick. Maybe you get Caleb Williams. Maybe you get May from UNC. Raiders, AOC, Jimmy G.
And
then
Devontae Adams is gone.
Yeah. And then the Commanders, you got Sam Howell, which I think what happens is Bieniemy probably slots in there.
He already has been.
Yeah.
From what we understand, right? Like he's pretty much just doing Ron Rivera's entire job for a year. For whatever reason. I don't understand why like they didn't just make it happen.
Yeah.
They hired the coach too early. They fucked up.
It seems like it. So I think Chargers for sure, right? Chargers the most appealing. But
The Bears?
hold on with the Chargers, right? Because last
Yeah.
couple of weeks, Kenny and I have been talking about how, bro, he looks the part. He looks amazing, right? Prototype quarterback, laser rocket arm, the famous Peyton Manning commercial, 6'5", laser rocket arm. Fucking, he's the perfect prototype quarterback that you want.
Mm-hmm.
But he also plays like Jay Cutler.
I think you've made this analogy to me one time before.
Dude, how are
It's
you
just-
6'5" and you have
You're
like 3
hitting-
passes a game tipped at the line of scrimmage, and then you look at like Kyler Murray and Russ,
Drew
and
Brees.
Drew Brees, like rarely got the ball tipped at the line, and you're like, it's crazy.
It's
bro.
worse. They do get the ball tipped at the Drew Brees. It happens so much, bro. I'm gonna fucking tell you right now. All right, this short motherfucker, and he never scrambled outside the pocket. So it just is more evident when Justin Herbert is throwing piss missiles like just flat right at the line.
Yeah.
and he's like pretty, I don't know, predictable with his arm angle. He's not like a Mahomes, like where they're crafty with like how they get the ball, because those defensive linemen, they're looking at you, they see when your ass is about to throw, and they just
Yeah.
fat fucking arms of these D linemen.
I mean,
just
dude,
catch
I
it.
think it's such a great tactic if you're a defensive lineman. Like, yeah, if I can't get there, just put
let
your hands
me
up
play
and-
like hand fight, and then jump
like,
up.
Why not? Why not do that? If I can't get to the quarterback, it's just as good, right? It's not a
Yeah.
sack, but it's a loss of down.
They it's something that I want to see them do more of. He needs to run more, bro. I don't know what his rushing stats were this last game, but he busted out like a 60-yard run. So it could possibly be 2 weeks in a row where Justin Herbert leads the team in rushing, and that to me is like a facet of his game that I never even really had explored. But maybe they should kind of start to fucking pivot in that direction. I think Kellen Moore's starting to do it. Does he become the new head coach, Kellen Moore? I don't think he's head coach material.
I don't think so either, man. I think he's a really solid offensive coordinator, and Justin Herbert, he's fucking amazing, but there's so much bad that comes with him. And look, I think he's getting into a point in his career where, especially once Staley goes, it's like, bro, we got no more mistakes, no more excuses for you.
Right.
It has to be on you now, because now there's still a pass. It's like, it's the coach. We know the coach is wacky. We know the coach is not good. It's not Herbert. But man, the more you watch, and Kenny and I are like 2-7 putting the Chargers in Circa this year, so they've cost us a shit ton of money. So whenever we do put them in Circa, we watch them a lot more. And it's just, there was one game where it was embarrassing that they lost that game because he had like Keenan Allen wide open in the back of the end zone, and he just threw a missile instead of just like a nice little touch pass. And it's plays like that where it's like Keenan Allen is doing a drag right behind the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, you don't
and
need
he's throwing it at 102. It's like, bro,
Yeah. Quarterbacks, that's one of the underrated attributes. San Jose State, the team my brother plays for, their quarterback fucking, bro. He's 5'7", or I think he might be 5'9", but everything is like game 7, full count, just and that. But with Justin Herbert, and you've seen him play in person, when you watch him throw, it looks super short and like effort. Like I wonder, like, how do you put that much fucking speed on the ball? because it doesn't look like he does like a
Yeah.
big windup.
Well, that's what they mean by arm talent. Like it just looks
He
like
just whips it.
yeah, like Rodgers, right? Rodgers does this 60 yards back shoulder. You're like, what the fuck? How'd that happen? It doesn't look like, there's some other quarterback like Cam Newton used to look like he was fucking
Shot putting.
just getting everything behind it, and then you would see like, oh shit, that's why
Right.
it was hitting off fucking wide receivers' shoulder pads and shit because it's coming out like a missile. Where other quarterbacks, it don't look like that, bro. It don't look like that. So I think that's the most appealing job only because of Justin Herbert. But then on the flip side, I feel like an appealing job might be Chicago because they are going to have the number, 1 and 4 pick in the draft because they have Carolina's pick.
Yeah.
Which is another reason why the Carolina shit is so wacky because they have no incentive to tank.
Yeah,
They don't have their
they're
number one
gunning,
pick.
bro. Yeah.
You should try to be winning and playing better because you don't have that number 1 pick.
And you want to screw over the Bears.
Yeah, make it
And-
worse for them.
So to me, the question is, all right, Nick, let's say we're working with Chicago and we do have the 1st and 4th pick. Do we go quarterback?
I think you have to.
Right? This whole Justin Fields experiment has kind of played its course. Justin Herbert, we think a little more highly of than
Look, man,
Justin Fields.
you've had 3 years if you're
It's
Justin
time.
Fields. 3 years, it's enough.
And injury prone 3 years.
Right.
And it's
But
time
even
to go,
when he's playing,
and
like,
they need an edge rusher too.
they need a lot of things. That's why if you're Chicago, you probably take a quarterback at 1.
Do what Houston did this last
And
year.
then with the 4 pick or the 3 pick or whatever pick you have, if Marvin Harrison is there, sure, you take him because then you have your franchise quarterback and the wide receiver to pair them together. That's fucking dope. But if not, you have so many holes you got to fill. Why not trade back and do like the Patriot thing, right? Patriots used to always trade back. Not that they ever had a top 5 pick, but hey, we got the 28th pick. Let's trade back and let's get 2 second-round picks. Same value as the first-round pick. I'm paying them less.
Right.
Still a top 50 player, impact guy right away. Day 1 and 2 picks are like, they're going to play tomorrow.
Right.
Right. Anyone in the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round, if they make your roster and they contribute, it's like, holy shit, that's a gem. We got an A+ grade because this 5th round pick now is my fucking quarterback or some shit. You know what I mean? Like that's how it goes. So I think Chicago, blank slate, Chicago might be that might be the answer, bro. If you have the number
And
1
they're getting
pick,
a new stadium built, I heard, too. which
you'll
is-
have the option of picking your quarterback if you're the head coach. You have a lot of assets. You have a lot of money also because you're
Yeah.
not paying your quarterback. I think that might be. You know what? I changed my
Hey.
answer. I'm going with Chicago. I think Chicago is the most appealing job in the offseason this year.
They have not been good since the days of Lovie Smith.
Yeah.
So you have like a little bit of leeway, like if you suck right off the bat, like if you are under 500, but like a competitive under 500, like maybe like a 7-11 record, you know what I mean? Like you're not going to get run out of town, but everyone's going to think like, holy shit, we have hope. So you don't even need to be really good. With the Chargers, it's not the same. People would expect you to win 10 games next year with the Chargers coming in there. But with the Bears, low expectation, promise of the future. I like this. I like that. But I can feel also, I could feel the same way about the Raiders. Like where the Raiders could be a very appealing coaching job, not only just for like living in the city of Las Vegas, which is the fucking top-notch place to live. Nick can tell you about it, right?
Bro.
He loves his place so much, but
The best.
you got at least an owner that's behind you that is like loaded and that is willing to make moves now. And I think that also plays a huge factor into what like a head coach should look into. You feel that? Like
Yeah.
like having the owner like be your fucking like right next to you and do whatever you really say to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or a little too much. Maybe Mark Davis is a little too
Nah,
hands
but
on.
I would want the owner to definitely care and be involved with the team. I don't know if I would want him to be making decisions. Like, as a New York Knicks fan, I've seen it firsthand how many free agents don't want to come there because he's too all in on the team.
Right.
It's like, bro, hire the people, let them, delegate, let them run the organization. And you just pay the bills. I think that's how every successful organization has ever operated. So
Very true.
yeah, I just think, let us know. At Veterans Minimum on social media, tag us. Let us know what you think is the most appealing job this offseason. George, before we wrap up the show, a couple things I want to ask you.
Hit me with it.
So, the odds for NFL MVP right now, we got, who do you think is the favorite?
Jalen Hurts?
Yes. Jalen Hurts is the favorite,
Yes.
followed by Pat Mahomes, followed by Lamar Jackson, Dak Prescott, who 2 weeks ago, 30-1, now plus 700. He's had some monster games.
Yeah, I mean, he's beat up on shit teams.
He has.
But that's what you're supposed to do. So, like, I don't blame him.
Stat pad, bro.
Yeah.
Light it up.
Yeah.
Go for it. Why not? Then you got Tua plus 900. This is a fucking mistake. This is a wild one. Brock Purdy's 14-1. Don't get it. Don't understand it. He's not even the most valuable player on his team. It's the running back. Then you got CJ Stroud 20-1, and then you got McCaffrey at 25-1. Do you agree with the order of this list?
Where was Tyreek Hill?
Tyreek Hill is 40-1.
I thought you may have listed his name.
No.
No.
Listen, man, I'll tell you this much, and I like that you mentioned it. If there was ever a year to give it to a non-quarterback, I think it's this one.
Tyreek Hill's fucking, it's death, taxes, Tyreek Hill touchdowns.
Or 100
Guaranteed.
yards. Yeah.
Guaranteed.
I think this is the year that, look, Hurts like the first 4 weeks was kind of mid.
Yep.
Kind of mid. But he was putting up big numbers because he was rushing for 2 touchdowns, right?
Right.
So Mahomes has had a couple of stinkers where, against the Jaguars, I think they scored 1 touchdown. And then there's been some games where like he just, they lost to Denver.
Yeah.
And he didn't play well, right? Lamar Jackson, he had a couple of stinkers. Dak has definitely had stinkers. Tua, he's had some bad games where he's thrown 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, but the most consistent player has been Tyreek Hill. It's very comparable to Stafford and Kupp 2 years ago, where Stafford was having a really good year, but all of his production was going to Cooper Kupp, where all the production for Tua is going to Tyreek Hill.
Right.
And then you have what McCaffrey is doing with the Niners. He hasn't had a bad game this year.
Yeah.
And it was the same thing with Cooper Kupp's worst game was like 7 for 77. Still solid, right? It's a bad game when he was putting up 8 for 100 every week.
100%.
And I think this year, the quarterback play, it's either everyone is too close together to definitively be like, yo, that guy is the fucking league MVP, where the best players in the league have been non-quarterbacks. And I think this is the year to, and I haven't bet on Tyreek Hill.
Yeah. And
Everyone knows about our fucking guy that walked by in the McCaffrey jersey as we were talking about it.
That was insane.
That was wild. So we do have a dog in the race, but for real, man, I felt like I didn't bet on Cooper Kupp the year that he won MVP, but I felt like he was the league MVP that year. I bet him in the Super Bowl. But that's just how I feel about it, man.
But going back to what you said about premier games, you'd mentioned it with Lamar Jackson earlier.
Yeah.
This 49ers Eagles game is the premier game.
Yeah.
So
Good
let's fucking just say
You
200 yards.
You're getting good at this.
200 yards on the ground. I got to keep going. 200 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns. And they dominate the Eagles, but it's all on Christian McCaffrey's big plays.
Yeah.
I think it goes from 25-1 to maybe where Brock Purdy's at. Brock Purdy falls to 25-1.
Dude,
actually just out of the race. Like,
dude,
that's so high for that kid.
I fucking agree with you, man. I think you are spot on. Like, when you look at McCaffrey's numbers this year, right? Like his game logs, as I'm pulling it up right now. He's been fucking So he has 11 touchdowns in 11 games. Sorry, he has 16 touchdowns.
And 11.
Yeah, he has 16 total touchdowns. I was talking about rushing touchdowns when I was looking at it. So he has 16 touchdowns in 11 games. He has a total yards. So he has 389, and he has about 1,300 all-purpose yards. And like, bro, 152 yards, 116 yards, 85 yards on the ground, 34 through the air, 106 on the ground, 71 through the air, 81 total yards on the ground. His worst game was against Cleveland, 43 yards, and then he had 9 yards catching. But then everything else is like these monster games, bro, he's been having. And I think you're onto something where if they go into Philly and they win, and he has a monster game, I think, yeah, he definitely leapfrogs.
Versus one of the best defensive lines in the league.
Yeah.
It's the headlines would read it perfectly. And then, hey, we're also at that point in time in the season where you got to be consistent every week. So, like, if in any given point, any one of those people you just listed had a bad week, it's over for them.
Yeah.
Like, you have to be perfect from here on out. And you're not going to get it as easy as, like, as long as Christian McCaffrey doesn't fumble and he rushes for over 100 yards and gets his touchdown or two, I think, dude, you can see him at maybe 8-1 when the season's closing.
Look, man, I think you're spot on, right? It's the same thing with everyone knows I'm not the biggest college football guy, right? But isn't it better for your playoff chances to lose early in the year as opposed to
100%.
later?
Yes.
Right? You want to lose September 22nd. You don't want to lose November 22nd.
Yep.
Because it's recency bias. It's a thing that we last saw. And I think you're right. I think now if someone has, if Lamar Lamar is a bad example because they're on a bye week, but let's say Pat Mahomes. Pat Mahomes goes into Green Bay and he throws 3 interceptions and they win by a field goal. It's like, oh, man, he played like shit. They were lucky to win that game. The defense won that game. Probably burned the ticket on Mahomes to win MVP. Or if like Hurts this week, he's going up against the Niners defense, another top 3 defense in the league. Maybe he has a shitty performance. And you're right, dude. I think that's a really strong take where if you are one of these guys that we listed, one of these top 6, 7 guys, you can't have a stinker the rest of the way because people are going to remember that.
Yep. And I think it's that past Thanksgiving. And then, dude, I know it's probably already hit you, but it's like, shit. Like, it's almost over.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think like we're past that point of no return. And I think Tyreek Hill, he's at 40, you said? 40-1?
Yeah.
A little tougher for him. But yeah, I think we got to keep hammering the narrative forward, like being, proud media members. We can move the needle a little bit. Why not give it to a non-quarterback?
Yeah,
especially with like you listed the case perfectly. Every quarterback has had a shit performance, but these guys don't. Did you really quick? Did you see Christian McCaffrey's bed after practice and after all his games and stuff? His wife like made a little like a reel about his bed. It's just literally covered in blood. They got white sheets. Man's is always cut up and bruised. So we're talking like that's a dog right there.
It's a dog.
Win MVP just based off of the blood on the sheets, brother. All right.
And his lady, Miss Universe, great girl. I mean, all to Mount Rushmore.
To turn it into content to win your husband the award.
Oh, dude.
She knows what she's doing.
Driving
she
the
knows
narrative.
what she's doing,
He's
brother.
putting his body on the line to win this award. Yeah, I like it, man. I like it. Listen, I want to end the show with the marquee game of the week. It's probably the game of the year.
Yeah.
Philly has played a lot of really tough games as of late. And I was talking to a buddy of mine, Will. He's an Eagles fan. We trained jiu-jitsu together over at Syndicate. And, bro, I have to bet the Eagles this week.
How could you not?
I have to. Look, they're an underdog at home. It feels wrong.
Are they the underdog for the first time this season?
No, they've been an underdog at home as an underdog. Yeah,
for sure.
Well, yeah, 100%.
Maybe against the Dolphins.
Oh, against the Dolphins, they were a 2-point favorite. Chiefs are on the
Wow, they're
road.
just on a gauntlet.
Yeah.
Dude.
But they've had a tough schedule, right? And then they
Yes.
got Dallas coming up soon too.
Yep.
So I think the line opened up Philly -2.5, and now they're +3. That's a crazy, crazy movement on this one. And there's a lot of things, right? All the Niner players have been saying, yo, if Brock Purdy don't go down, we win that game last year. So you know they're coming in, they're fired up, right? On the flip side, I think the Eagles players are saying the same shit. Wait, so y'all think if Brock played last year, you would have beat us? All right, bet. Watch what we're going to show you. You have your boy coming in here now, too. You guys are fully healthy, no excuses. Still going to get your ass whooped.
Yep.
And Philly is a team that when they embrace the underdog, dude, the whole fucking
They're going to
team-
wear the dog mask.
Yeah, the whole
it's
Super
coming.
Bowl run, they all wore dog masks.
Yeah.
The fans did. The players were showing up. Jason Kelsey showed up with the dog mask. Like, this is a team that embraces it. And it might be a situation, bro, where how many times for the rest of his career in Philly are you going to get Jalen Hurts as an underdog, you think, at home? And oh, by the way, they're 10-1. This isn't like they're 6-6, kind of just breezing. Nah, bro, they're the best team in the league, and they're an underdog at home. I think that's crazy. And I think the matchups benefit them.
What? Yeah. Okay. You've been sports betting a very long time. What do you think Vegas sees that we as like the layman person just don't see? Because you know they're getting points because it's at home. So realistically, they're really looking at it like 5.5. Because you're automatically giving Philly a couple of points for being at home. So what the fuck are we not seeing here?
So you bring up a good point, because I always would talk about this in the past. If you like a road favorite, I want you to close your eyes and envision them being at home and add 6 points to that line. So if San Francisco was playing this game in San Fran, they'd be a 9-point favorite against the Eagles. George, what are we doing if they were a 9-point favorite?
We're for sure taking
We're
the
taking
Eagles.
Philly.
We're
And
taking the Eagles, buddy.
we're putting December Patreon money on the Eagles. Maybe even money line, right? So that's why when you have a road favorite, I always tell people that. I'm like, yo, not that it's a bad thing to do, right? Last week, if you bet favorites, 13-3 against the spread.
Wow.
Regression is coming because it always happens. The sports books got fucking fisted last week. So just pursue with caution this week. But when it comes to a road favorite, I always tell people, yo, close your eyes, envision them playing that road game at home, and they're 6-point favorites additionally. Are you taking them? And if the answer is no, that's telling you what you should do in that game.
Right.
With all that being said, I think the line is super sketchy for it to be that, because it seems so obvious to me that Philly is the side, but I have to take the Eagles
Yeah.
in this spot because he's 27-2 at home in his career.
Mm-hmm.
He's 30-4 in his last 34 games as a starter. And I'm getting the best team in the league as an underdog at home. I have to take that. I have to take it. And if San Fran goes out there and they win by 2 touchdowns, hopefully it's McCaffrey going 150 for 3, because then we got that bandwagon fired up. Get that shit spinning, daddy. We going. So that's how I'm approaching this week, man.
Okay. Oh, damn. I was going to hit you with the line's not going to close at +3. What do you think it closes at?
I think it'll close at San Fran -2.
Okay. Can I predict something wild here that I think it goes? I think it's going to be a pick'em.
Whoa.
I think it goes down to a pick'em. I think this will be the most bet game of the NFL season so far, because everybody like us, we're talking about, you got to go fucking hammer it now, you know? I think the books will have to leverage it. This is the part of sports betting that I want to get better at, knowing like how much money are we really talking from the public to literally move the line in a favor so that the books can still win out. I think it goes down to a pick'em.
A lot of that is also subjective to how you think the line is going to move. That's why people, like when you hear professional sports bettors, they'll tell you, oh, my power ratings. this team is rated 3 points better than the other team on a neutral and all this shit, right? All that's telling you is that that's when they use the term, oh, there's value on that team, because they have them as a 7-point favorite, but the book has them as a 4-point favorite. Oh, you got to hammer that 4-point favorite because we're getting 3 points of value. So that's what they mean by value when they talk about that. And I think for me, I mean, I took Philly already +3. Took them today before I got here. That's why I ran a little late, because I had to make sure the app.
No, it's all good, dog.
Dude, I'm in Nevada now. Stop asking me my location settings, bro. I'm here. Daddy's here, right? Stop with this fucking, you got to search. And the moment I want to go and put a bet in, just conveniently, it's checking my location settings. Like, fuck that. I'm here. All right? Stop. Fires me up, dude. I was back home for Thanksgiving. I go to live bet Arsenal. It's 0-0. I'm watching the game with my dad. It's the 80th minute. They're dominating the whole second half. I go to open up FanDuel. Maintenance. The app's going under maintenance. I look up, Arsenal scores. I'm like, oh, how fucking convenient is that one? Like, what are we doing, bro? Stop asking me. I'm here. I'm in Nevada now. I'm not going anywhere for the foreseeable future. Stop asking me my settings. With that said, I bet the Eagles at +3.
Yeah. I'm going to take the money line. I'm very confident that they're going to have the ball at the end and they're going to take it down and they're going to kick a field goal to win. Like, this is a game that I see going under too. Like, I just think it's really the 49ers. When I asked you that question, like, why do you think the bookmakers put it here? I think that the book thinks that the 49ers defense is the best defense in the league. With their additions and with what they've seen. I mean, how could you not?
Hold on. So I got a good one for you when you want to break down the X's and O's in the actual matchup. I think Tafunga being out is big against this offense.
100%.
And A.J. Brown was going crazy for a couple weeks, and he's been quiet. And I think this could be an A.J. Brown showcase game. Like, he scored a touchdown last week, but he had like 4 for a 30, I think. I think this could be a monster A.J. Brown game. And, of course, you got Slim Reaper on the other side.
Dog.
Devontae Smith. Like, dude, he's so fun to watch.
He just looks like he's going to break every time he catches the ball.
But he just looks so fluid in and out of his breaks. He looks smooth, and it makes sense why he won the Heisman and he got picked where he got picked. Yeah. And that dude's a fucking stud, bro.
I have to look up the weather. Like,
it's
going to be
the last thing, right? I know Brock Purdy went in there last year, but he didn't get to play the game. What's the weather like? Forecast?
55 and pouring, 70% chance of pouring. So this back-to-back weeks where they have to play in the elements.
Yeah.
Oh, it's going to be nasty.
Yeah, it's going to be a bar fight, bro.
Fuck.
It's going to be a bar fight.
This is going to be fun to watch.
And I think if you're Philly, I think this is a monster game because then you still got to play Dallas, and you don't want to give anyone any hope of trying to take that number 1 seed from you. Because, bro, if they have to go into Philly to get to the Super Bowl, you're not beating Philly in Philly.
I agree.
So if you're a Cowboys fan, if you're a Lions fan, you better have your San Francisco 49ers gear on this week because you can't have that shit happen, bro. Cannot have that shit happen.
That is so true. That is true.
Who you got winning this game?
I got the Eagles. I was serious about the money line. I think I can catch them at probably the most favorable odds right now. I saw +130 at some places. It's crazy the way that, after you watch it enough, usually the 3-point favorite, you may get like a +150, but like you can see that +130 and you're like, oh, they fucking know. Like they're able to recoup their losses in those small margins, and that's what I'm trying to pay better attention at. So I'm going to try to take them today, and I say try to because
let's get the 3, bro. We'll take the +3 now.
Do I?
Yeah, take the +3 now. And
Not
if it
money
moves
line?
to 3.5,
I think it's going to finish at a pick'em. So I mean, at that point, it's just money line anyways. But
yeah.
I've been hitting a lot of teasers, but I think I told you that too.
Yeah, you like teasers, huh?
Fucking love them.
I never got into teasers, bro.
It's missionary betting.
It is, yeah.
It is such missionary betting, Nick.
It's missionary betting. It's chest on chest to make sure that it's real and you're showing love to one another. It's definitely, you know what it is, right? Multiple condoms during intercourse.
Oh,
that is 100% what a teaser is.
The double rubbers.
Yeah.
The double rubbers.
Yeah, those are, yeah. And I think also like Big money line favorites. Money line favorites. Also like 2 condoms. That's subathon. Raw like Monday nights, baby. Raw like Monday nights.
And yeah, maybe a little extra BDSM stuff on that one.
Hey,
right there.
listen, that's why subathon coming back this week, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully we hit one. But yo, shout out to everyone listening. The November numbers on the downloads, season high, year high, I should say. And we had a monster year with the downloads, on pace to break a record for Veterans Minimum. And man, I can't thank you guys enough. I can't thank you enough too, man. Also for
of course,
not only for the studio, you being someone I can bounce off of.
Oh yeah,
I've always wanted to have. I like having someone in person. Chemistry's dope. You're always there on time. You come prepared. I love doing the content with you. And I've texted you some stuff. I'm like, yo, bro, we're gonna get the bag one day. Just you gotta trust me, follow my lead, and I promise you, we'll be doing some passing paisans. You know what I'm saying? Like get some Tommy DeVito going.
Welcome to a long time of content, brother.
But yo, shout out to everybody for real, man. And I've said this many times. The best endorsement is the people that listen. Tag us, tweet at us, comment on the stuff. We just passed 10,000 followers on Instagram and trying to get that shit to 10K for fucking years. And it seems like the last 6 months has been like the momentum that we needed. So shout out to everybody, man.
Yes.
At Veterans Minimum is where you can find all things VM. At Nick Dace is where you can find me. Once again, shout out to George. Shout out to John Orlando. Shout out to Podcast Junkies. Shout out to Sticky Paws for allowing us to come in here and record. It definitely means a lot. I do love coming here. I've told you this off the record too, and now on the record, bro.
I appreciate you, Nick. I appreciate you more than words can explain, brother, man.
Where can people find you if they want to contact you?
You can follow me at Mr. George Carmona on all social media platforms. You can find me on a lot of shows for the Podcast Junkies Network and even engineering shows here today. I do want to shout out our engineer, Miguel Fonseca, today. He did a phenomenal job. And if you ever need to record a podcast in Las Vegas, Sticky Paws Studios. That's that.
In his element, I'm a gold medalist, bronze like your medal is. So many deer in headlights, but it's bedtime. Hear that supper bell, main course be the venison.
Dab. Most dangerous game. Either kill or be killed.